to energy security. Germany signed crucial liquid natural gas and diesel deals with United Arab Emirates. Scholz hailed significant progress in securing energy supplies. We've taken very far-reaching decisions that have helped to secure Germany's supply security to an extent that could not have been expected months ago. Now that autumn has just begun, we can say we should make it through the winter. Germany has been criticised for getting too dependent on Russian energy. Scholz believes the Gulf trip has planted the seeds to make sure that doesn't happen again.
For more on this, let's turn to Leon Izbiki, an analyst at Energy Aspects. Welcome back, Leon. So let's look at the deal Scholz made with the UAE. 137,000 cubic meters of LNG arriving in Germany at the end of this year. Put that into context for us. Is that a significant amount?
Unfortunately, it really isn't. We are talking about one LNG cargo of 137,000 cubic meters. But when you look at the overall consumption of gas in Germany, you're looking on an annualized basis at around between 80 to 90 billion cubic meters a year. So what this really signals, just more generally, is a pivot towards other suppliers, in particular also in the medium term when you're looking at a potential ramp up in LNG exports from the UAE. But what RWE and ADNOC have signed is merely a relatively vague memorandum of understanding for potentially more LNG supplies into Europe and into Germany in particular over the coming year. And really, it's going to be a medium-term story. In the short term, high prices are just going to be needed for the European market to just signal that every available spot LNG cargo needs to come to Europe, and also that Europe needs to reduce consumption to get through this winter and also through next year.
So you seem unimpressed by the amount agreed there, but how much do you think Scholz's Gulf trip did help towards alleviating Germany's energy scarcity issue?
As I said, I think it's a step in the right direction. It's a step in the right direction, in particular for the medium term. Signing longer-term LNG supply deals with other suppliers than Russia will just provide some safeguards for Germany to be able to pivot away from Russian gas and to contract a relatively diverse portfolio, essentially, of LNG suppliers supplying cargoes into the German market. But again, in the short term, what you are looking at is the fact that we are looking at a deadweight loss in supply in the global gas balance, simply because Russia cannot divert gas that it normally exports via pipeline to Europe into other European markets. It has to resort to, for example, shutting in production wells. It has to resort to for example, flaring as well. So all of that means that you are looking at a, more generally speaking, very tight global gas balance, where there is just a lot of competition for that marginal LNG cargo from Asian markets, for example, and from Europe. And the only thing that will solve this really in the short term is just going to be high price.
So the Gulf trip hasn't materially changed the conditions for us, but I want to pick up on something from the report. So Germany is replacing, at least partly, energy supplies from one undemocratic country, so Russia in this case, with supplies from countries with problematic human rights records. Is Germany failing to learn a lesson about the dangers of partnering with non-like-minded countries, especially when it comes to energy?
I think that's ultimately a question that both policymakers, politicians, and also the electorate in Europe and in Germany needs to answer for themselves. But what you're looking at in terms of pivoting from pipeline supplies to global LNG suppliers more generally from a market perspective is that you're decreasing your overall dependence on any one country simply because pipeline supplies are relatively inelastic. As I've said, if there's going to be a decrease in Russian pipeline supplies into Europe at the moment, it results in a deadweight loss. It doesn't result in a reconfiguration of gas flows in a global balance. On a global scale, when it comes to LNG, it is a much more globalized and commoditized market in a sense that you are creating less dependence on any one single country, in particular if you are signing several new LNG long-term supply deals with different suppliers.
Thank you. Leon Izbiki from Energy Aspects there for us.
Thank you very much.
And a reminder of the top business story we're following for you this hour. Giorgia Meloni says she'll govern for all Italians after her right-wing Brothers of Italy party and its conservative allies won a clear victory in Sunday's elections. Meloni is now set to become Italy's first far-right leader since World War II. However, Meloni's openly critical stance to the European Union and populistic economy policy could spell trouble for the debt-ridden country. That's our show. For more, check out dw.com/business and the DW News YouTube channel. We're also on Facebook. For me and the business team here in Berlin, thank you so much for watching.